What's up guys, it's Will here back again, and today we're here to review the INART Collectibles 1/6 scale Superman figure from Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice. I've been looking forward to unboxing this figure because it is my first experience with a sculpted hair INART figure. We're going to find out if the value is still there today. But before we get started, I gotta give a huge shout out to 1/6 Kit for selling me this figure early. If you're interested in purchasing INART figures or third-party figures, make sure to check out 1/6 Kit via the link in the description below. You can use my code WillFox for $10 off of your order. That said, let's get into it. Per usual, I want to jump right into what you want to see. Let's take an up close and personal look at this Superman figure to see if INART delivered a product worth the price of admission. After that, we'll review the accessories, any instructions that need mentioning, and my overall evaluation of the figure. Let's take a look. All right, so straight out of the box, this is the INART Collectibles BVS Superman. And I gotta say, first impression straight out of the box, I'm very impressed with this guy. I think the likeness is pretty good. The stare is a little bit blank. There's not a ton of expression with this head sculpt, but you can adjust the eyes. There are two pegs underneath where you can move the eyes to give it a little bit more life, depending upon the pose that you're going for in your personal display. For me, I'll probably have something a little more straight on like this if I use this head sculpt at all. I'm gonna show you the laser eye head sculpt in a little bit, which is going to be pretty cool as well. But looking at this one, I do think overall it looks a lot like Henry Cavill. I think the paint apps are really good. Again, the expression is a little bit blank, but that's how it was on the prototype. You have a sculpted hair piece through and through on this one. There is no loose hair strand on this one. Everything's sculpted and neat and natural in this position. And the eyes have a lot of life to them. I would say the paint applications are pretty good, but I do think this one is truly not bad at all. I've seen the Hot Toys Superman figures in person quite a bit, and none of them are even close to as good as this. It's easily the best 1/6 Henry Cavill on the market in terms of license figures. It's not even close. But yeah, the likeness is really good. And I think you're not at all going to be unsatisfied with this one. If you have a pre-order with this, I'd say you're going to be very happy when this one comes in because this thing looks super lifelike. And if you're a big Cavill stan, you're going to be pretty happy here. All right, guys, so now we're looking at the angry laser-dyed head sculpt for this INART Collectibles BVS Superman. And while I love both head sculpts, I gotta say, I prefer this one. I think it's a little bit more dynamic. You could use this one as an evil Superman saying like, hey, he's just lasering a ton of different people, very Homelander-like, if you will. Or you could say, you know what, he's a good Superman still. He's just fighting, he's got some laser eyes, and I think that's pretty cool nonetheless. So one thing I do want to note as well with the eyes, they're orange-red type of coloration, and I think you can look at that on screen. Hopefully it's showing up well enough for you, but they have sort of a transitioning effect. So they're showing that he's gearing up to use these laser eyes. He's not in full laser mode yet, but he's about to shoot some lasers at some people, Batman in this case, and it's not going to be good for whoever's on the other side of it. But this head sculpt looks absolutely awesome. Like I said, I really do like both of them, but I just think this one has a little bit more personality to it, and I think you can do more things on the shelf with it, and it's just going to stand out just a little bit more than the other one. So let's take a deeper look at the actual suit. So looking at the suit here, you can see a wide angle shot of the suit. It feels different than a Hot Toys figure does. Hot Toys figures tend to feel a little bit more rubbery and like an overall different type of suit material. This feels very cloth-like, where it's flexible and movable, but it does feel like one big cloth fabric suit, for lack of a better term. I've not owned a Superman Hot Toys figure myself, but I've seen them quite a bit and I've held them in hand, and they just do feel different than this one. Overall, I think everything on the suit looks pretty accurate to me. I think the Superman logo on the front looks very true to the film and has a nice colorization to it. The articulation is pretty solid. Of course, you have knee articulation. You can pivot side to side at the legs, as you can see there. The waist actually pivots and moves up and down, as you can see, so that all looks good. You have ab crunch there. You can actually even feel the abs underneath. And of course, torso, you can move side to side and all that good stuff. So it's a little bit bigger of a body. It's definitely a custom version. So you got to be a little bit more careful with how you're going to articulate this guy because, to be honest, he's just stiffer. Bigger body, stiffer body. That's just kind of how it goes. So one other characteristic of this figure that I really want to highlight is the chrome body underneath. You can see the chrome body right there on the arm, making this body quite substantial. There clearly was a lot of R&D that went into developing this figure, and it shows in the proportions and, you know, overall body choice here and the design of the suit. So very impressed with this thing, very substantial and heavy, and it just feels like really good quality. So really wanted to highlight that chrome body because very unique. I like it a lot. So I wanted to show you guys the hands real quick because there are a significant amount of hands that come with this figure, and we're going to try to use most of them as we pose this guy. But one important important note that I want to communicate to you guys is that clearly there are no magnets in here. So INART appears to have ditched the magnet system for these hands. I don't know if they were all ever that effective. Were they really that useful? I think INART has determined that they aren't, honestly. Harry Potter didn't have them either. And I think you're starting to see that the magnets are going to start going away for just standard wrist pegs that peg in as normal. So lots of hands to work with here and no magnets, which I think is actually a good choice probably. So I wanted to take a second to showcase this specific hand because what you'll see on the underside of the palm is that there's a big magnet there. And that's because it's designed to hold the bat cowl and it's magnetic in its connection. You can see it plopped right on there, first try, no effort whatsoever. So you would have Superman holding the bat cowl with the back of the cowl towards you, the viewer, and the front of the cowl towards Superman himself. You can have the cowl being held this way and the magnet still will connect. As you can see, the magnet still does want to go on there, just not quite as flush and naturally. So you do want to be careful, but that still will hold if you want to hold it from the front view on. But pretty cool, unique hand, and I really like the cowl. So there you go, I like that. All right, so what we have here is the second included Superman cape. And as you can see, it has wires running all through it. You have wires on the sides, you have wires on the bottom. You can do a lot of different things in terms of posing this guy. So this one is more so designed for dynamic poses, whereas you have the straight non-wired cape if you want something a little bit more stoic and standard and just kind of straight up and down. This is really cool. In the packaging, you're going to see a bunch of different pleats because that's how INART have packaged it. And you can separate that, adjust the wires, spread it out, do whatever you need to do to get it in a position that you want. We're going to be using this thing on the Superman figure, so stay tuned for some more poses in this video. But I'm really excited to put this thing on the figure. So what you can see here are 1/6 pictures of Martha, Clark Kent's mom. You know, Lex Luthor goes to him and he's like, hey, Supes, you know, I kind of got your mom and she's captive, so I want you to go fight Batman so the movie can continue. So I'm going to show you these pictures and get you all amped up so you can go fight Batman and be mad about it. So that's basically what happens, and you can use these to get your Superman figure mad, and you can do a lot of cool fun poses with them. I don't know if they're going to find their way in my display, but again, it's a cool accessory to have and really get you immersed into the film again by having the figure in your collection. So what you can see here is a kryptonite grenade. This obviously is what Batman shoots at Superman to fuck him up, really bring him down to his level and then just kick his ass. So you have a cool kryptonite grenade. It's pretty cool. I don't know if I'm going to be using it in my display, but it's nice to have. Again, it's another cool accessory. So if you're really big into kryptonite, you got a grenade. There you go, win-win. So what you see here is kryptonite. This is what Batman uses to weaken Superman. It's an element from Krypton, Superman's home planet, that Batman uses to, of course, fight Superman and bring him down to his level, as I mentioned. So it's actually pretty cool. It's a good world building accessory. You can put it next to Superman, and it's a big green space stone. What more could you ask for? It kind of looks like a green turd, but it's not. It's a space stone from Krypton, and it weakens Superman. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if you're going to need it, but it's pretty cool. I like it. So maybe you can put it in your display. I don't know. So as is the case with all INART figures, there is a magnetic base included. You can see the Superman logo on the front of the base there. You have a big slab of rock here, and this piece actually comes up so you can actually plug in the flight pole. It's a coverable piece so you can plug in the flight pole. I think that's really cool. I've said all along they should include something like this for all figures so you could plug in a crotch grabber if you want, if you don't feel comfortable with just the magnets. Imagine the magnets and a crotch grabber. That would be the ultimate sense of security. So I love that INART is doing this, and I do hope they use this for other figures so collectors can use maybe an acrylic crotch grabber or something like that if they're not comfortable with the magnets. I've been saying this all along. I love that this is an inclusion. So all you got to do is twist off the bottom of the base and you can adjust the magnets to your liking. You can move them up and down vertically, and you can also move them horizontally depending upon what type of pose you're going for. So you want the magnets to align to the feet depending upon the pose you've created for your Superman figure, and this gives you the ability to adjust that. So really like this mechanism. I hope they keep using this. Again, I do hope they use the crotch grabber option as well if you want both. But for now, I do like that the magnets are adjustable, as that wasn't the case for early INART figures. So what we have here is a Kryptonian spear. This is what Superman uses to kill Doomsday, which ultimately leads to Superman's demise, and what Batman uses to almost kill Superman until he learns that his mom's name is the same as his mom's name, and that actually leads him to stop killing Superman, which, to be fair, that would probably have me being empathetic for my nemesis as well. If I learned that they had the same mom name, I'd be like, okay, cool, like maybe you're not so bad. And yeah, I get it. So thanks, Zack Snyder, for that one. And this spear is pretty cool. It's a sculpted piece. It does not light up, so there is no light up function on it, but it's really cool. It has a lot of detail to it. It's plasticky. It feels substantial though. It doesn't feel super flimsy, but you do want to be careful with it. But overall, I think it's going to lead to a lot of cool poses. You can do a lot with this. It has a lot of shelf presence. So you know what? I'm going to say the Kryptonite spear, is actually a win. I like this. So one thing that's really cool about both of these Superman head sculpts is that similar to other INART figures, you have movable eyes. There's two little pegs underneath the head sculpt that you can move to adjust the eyes, and you can move them all around and adjust them into the position you would like. So you can move them side to side, give him a little bit of side eye, or if you want him looking straight on, you can do that as well. Adjust the eyes to your liking. I've just been futzing with them and messing with them. But yeah, adjust them till you get them in the position that you like. I'm gonna try some different poses in this video, and we'll see what works best. So, and if you wanted to see what the figure looks like without the cape on, this is what it would look like. There's two little holes in the little chest area there where the cape plugs in. So right there, as you can see, you plug that cape in, but the proportions are really good even without the cape. There's a zipper on the back where you can plug in the flight stand. So very simple. The assembly on this one, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed because it's so minimal. So really enjoying this process so far. All right, so we got the wired cape here, and I just wanted to show you guys how easy this is to install. There's two little pegs. You line up the peg to the hole on the body, and you just peg it in. Very simple. The assembly on this figure is pretty easy. All you gotta do is slot that thing in, and boom, look at that. The cape is on him. You're good to go. Just be careful, take it slow, and it'll peg right in. The INART BVS Superman is a figure that I wasn't sure would actually be made. To my surprise, INART announced this figure for pre-order in October of 2023. I was surprised because the DCEU is dead, and while Henry Cavill certainly has a large fan base, I expected this figure to go the way of a Black Adam, i.e. canceled, considering a new Superman has been cast to help usher in James Gunn's rebooted DC universe. But here it is, and this figure is really good. Do I think it's INART's best head sculpt? No, I think it's somewhere in the middle to lower end of the figures they've released thus far, but it's certainly the best Henry Cavill head sculpt out there from a licensed company, and it's not even close. The movable eyes, the two very distinct head sculpts, there's so much to like here. I also love the musculature and the proportions of the chrome body and the material choices on the suit. It looks very lifelike, and while posing is slightly more difficult due to that big body, just take your time and you'll be able to pull off the poses you want with this one. I'm not the world's greatest figure poser, but I've really enjoyed posing this guy because he looks good across the spectrum of poses. Dynamic or museum, he has a presence. I also like the base. INART's mentality is to make bases immersive, sometimes elaborate, but usually not. The bases are often more simplistic as to not detract from the quality of the figure itself. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about the flight pole, but seeing how it works in hand, I love it. All you have to do is unzip the zipper on the back and plug the acrylic pole into the back of the figure. Super easy. You don't even have to zip him back up if you don't want to, as the cape will cover that area. The figure holds without issue, and the connection is completely concealed due to the cape in the back. I imagine most collectors will have this figure in a flight pose in their display case. It just looks too good not to. As for accessories, there isn't a lot included here, but there's enough. The standout is the Kryptonite Spear for me because of how long and presence commanding it is. I think I may actually have my Superman wielding it in my display. Beyond that, the magnetic bat cowl is also cool, but the figure is the primary draw here. The value is still there, even with minimal accessories. When considering the options on the market, INART is the clear winner for me. While Hot Toys Superman figures can be found for reasonable prices these days, INART Superman can be had for under $400 shipped, and that's a damn good value for the best Superman figure on the market. I don't have any Hot Toys Supermans to directly compare to, but I've seen them all. And if you want the most lifelike one as of today, it's INART. As far as issues go, I have few. The first being the visible neck joint. This is the unfortunate reality of the character's design and the inclusion of a head sculpt that connects via a neck peg. From side angles, you're going to see an unsightly neck joint. So this is definitely a figure you want to view front on as much as possible. The second being articulation. You can pose this guy in any pose you want, let me be clear, but you have to be slow and deliberate. Every act you take should be done with caution to avoid damaging the suit or the body. With other INART figures, they pose more freely and easily. This one just takes a little more conscious effort. The magnetic bases are still good, but not great. The figure will hold, but if you have uneven floors or earthquakes or anything that could cause instability, I'd proceed with caution. This is why the included flight pole is so great. You have the figure on that and you could just go about your day worry-free. These bases should include an acrylic crotch grabber that is concealable for future figures. This figure certainly delivers on prototype quality. Henry Cavill Superman fans are going to be over the moon with how this turned out. INART's batch system has been quite the controversial talking point, and rightly so. The batch system certainly needs improvement, and the wait times are often lengthy, often unreasonably so. That said, if you're patient and want hyper-realistic representations of your favorite characters, then INART is probably for you. If you're unwilling to wait for months on end and don't want to deal with delays, then INART is probably not for you. At this point, this is the reality of the situation. I hope the logistics of delivering figures improves for INART, but I'm hoping collectors who buy go in with the right expectations based on precedent to mitigate potential disappointment and frustration. All that to say, this Superman figure is another banger from INART. I'm gonna give this figure a 9.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to click the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss anything from the world of 1/6 scale collecting. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next review.